Well, hello and welcome to part 2 of the dark-only hardcore Nuzlocke of Soul Silver. Today we are going to attempt the Kanto portion of the game. Now that we are in post-game, there's quite a bit for us to do, and the first thing that we need to do, of course, is go talk to Professor Elm, like our mom just told us. Now, before we head off to Kanto, there are actually 5 encounters that we can come across. One of those can be found basically in any cave with the radio, the Hoenn sounds on Wednesday, and the other 4 encounters can be found in the Safari Zone themselves. Now, normally we only allow 1 encounter per area, but because of the Safari Zone, how it has multiple different areas, and how difficult it has been to get to this point in the game, we're going to allow for multiple encounters. The first thing that we have to do, of course, is head to the port in Olivine and talk to Professor Oak. He will upgrade our Pokedex to the National Dex, and that is the key to unlocking all of these different encounters. As I said previously, the Safari Zone, we already have our encounter, but we've had to go through so much to get this far. We still have to wait for the call from Baoba to get the item organizer. Then we're going to go into different areas, and I don't know a lot about everything that we're about to do, so we're going to learn together, and I'm going to allow for these encounters. Before we do any of that, however, now that we have the National Dex, on Wednesdays you can get Hoenn sounds, and on Thursdays you can get the Sinnoh sounds on your Pokegear radio. And with that, we should be able to head over to basically any cave, Slowpoke Well, Union Cave, Dark Cave, and get ourselves our first encounter. So I'm going to head over to Azalea and head to the Slowpoke Well and see if this is a real encounter or if the internet has lied to me once again. Not too soon after arriving in the Slowpoke Well looking for an Absol, we got the call from Baoba. The internet said this would take 3 hours, but hey, sorry to keep you waiting. He gave us the object arrangement. Nice. Let's get this Absol and let's get ourselves to the Safari Zone ASAP. I go into my radio and make sure that this button is clicked every time. You can hear the Hoenn sounds in the cave, and there we go. We finally got an Absol. I would click the radio and then I'd run around, and this isn't a guaranteed encounter, so I'd run into like a Zubat and then I'd just keep running around, and I never did see an Absol until I started making sure that the Hoenn sound was playing as the music in the cave. I didn't see anything about that on the internet, and I thought the internet was lying to me once again because not everything you read on the internet is true. This is on the internet and this could be fake. You don't know. Speaking of internet, it's INTERNET, and the place that I work at, they've got some posters posted, and they say if you want some more information, get on the intranet. 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 I thought that was funny. Nonetheless, Argus has a Rash plus special attack minus special defense nature. We got it here in the Union Cave. And to be fair, this thing is probably not going to see much seat time on the team. It's outclassed by most of the Pokemon we have and most of the Pokemon that we are about to try to get our hands on. But it is nice to have a 5th teammate for the first time in this run. When it comes to the Safari Zone, I am a complete noob. I've dealt with very little encounters in this area, and the object arrangement I know nothing about. So I did have to take to the internet and do some research, and we're going to find out together if what I've researched is correct. Now, Baoba does say he will offer explanations of the object arrangement if we want to know anything, but his explanations are very vague, like the types of Pokemon change depending on what we put in specific areas. According to Cerebi, we can get ourselves a Corphish if we go to the wetland biome with 10 water objects. We have to fish it up with a good rod. We can get ourselves a Cacnea in the desert with 35 forest objects, but right now we can only place 30. In the wasteland biome, we can get our hands on a Skorupi with 28 rock objects. And in the meadow biome, we can get our hands on a Nuzleaf with 28 forest objects. Those are with 0 days, though. There's also a days mechanic, because if you want something like a Bronzong, you have to go to the forest area, place 9 forest objects and 19 peak objects, and then you have to leave those for 110 days. Now, the speedrunning community did figure out how to spoof the days, so we could do that. You set your clock to 11:59, and then you let it tick over to 12:01, and you save your game, and then spoof your clock again, and that counts as a day. You can't just change your date to 110 days. It's a whole crazy thing that we're not going to get too far in depth to, but the encounters that we want don't require any days. Now, of course, we got to get these biomes set up. So we need a wetland, we need a wasteland, and we need a meadow biome. After getting our biomes set, now we can go into the safari zone and start placing objects. We have to pay the $500 entrance fee and get in here. Now, I'm not 100% sure if we have all the items available to us, the forest items, the rock items, the water items, that kind of stuff, but let's find out. Now, you can come to a specific biome, a specific area, and you just press A. Of course, you can't press it too close to the grass because it won't place an object. It looks like we have a tree, a stump, short fence, signboard, short fence 2, and branches. Tree, stump, and branches are all forest objects. So we have no water objects, we have no rock objects, so we're going to have to look at our encounters here. And Nuzleaf. Nuzleaf is the one that we're going to want to get inside of the meadow biome. So I need to wrap around to where I put the meadow biome and start placing objects in that specific area. So the wasteland is right here, and then I turn this area into a biome, kind of a left to the wetland, up to the wasteland, and right. If we go straight down from here, we will get ourselves out of the safari zone. I have to place 28 of these objects. We have 30 that we can plant, so I think it doesn't really matter how we place these objects. We just have to start placing them, I guess? I don't know. I did take down the first couple of trees that we placed and started placing in these in a different order. You can have them a little better organized than I do, or you can just place them down. I only have 2 items left, so that means I have 28 items placed, and now we're going to try to get a Nuzleaf. It's not a guaranteed encounter. As you see here, we've ran into a Hoppip and now a Jigglypuff, but eventually we will find a Nuzleaf. We only have access to the forest items right now. I think we have to leave the safari zone and wait for Baoba to call us again so that we can get access to some other items. And look at that, we ran into a Nuzleaf. There's nothing that we can do. These Pokemon do have a chance to run away, so we will throw a Safari Ball at it, and we did catch it the very first turn. That's awesome. Now, we do have an opportunity to get another Grass Dark Pokemon in Cacturn, or Cacnea, but unfortunately, it's not as good as Shiftry is, so couple that with the fact that we need 35 objects, and we're still only at 30 objects, we're not going to spend that much time waiting for a Pokemon that's outclassed by one we just caught. Now, Moldorm here does have a timid plus speed minus attack nature. The minus attack is fine because this is going to be a predominant special attacker. I am going to level this thing up to get some level up moves, and then we're going to evolve it once we get our hands on a Leaf Stone. Now, before we leave the Safari Zone, we actually need to take these items down. You can walk up to an item and press A, and you can pull the item back into your inventory, so to speak. We don't want to leave any items out in the Safari Zone because we're going to place other objects. There's our phone call from Baoba. He's come up with some new objects. It's like every 3 hours he will call you to tell you there's different objects. Now, I was heading to get my hands on a Leaf Stone, and I walked away from the game and forgot to pause it. So Baoba's actually calling us again with some new items. It doesn't matter. That's one way. Just set your game down and don't pick it up for a few hours. Now, here at the Pokeathlon, you can run the different events and get yourself some points, and then you can buy different items. We could wait to get the Leaf Stone until we get to Celadon, but I might as well buy it and have a Shiftry on our team before I even get to Kanto. I still need to get Nuzleaf a few levels. I want to get it to level 43, I believe, if memory serves me correct, before I evolve it. So we're not going to evolve it just yet. Now back at the Safari Zone, we of course got to pay the entry fee to go in again. You know, being an owner, we should get like a discount, maybe free, I don't know. Plus we've jumped through hoops to get to this point, but let's see what new items we have. small rock, mossy rock, big rock. That means we have the rock items, which is awesome. We have puddles, fountains, water holes, which means we have the water items. And those are the items that we need to get the other Pokemon. This is awesome. I'm so excited. You guys have no idea. I've wanted a Corphish since the start of this run because I saw Sylph get one in his run and he was incorrect. And I'm still a little salty about that. So we are going to place down some water objects and see if we can't get our hands on this Corphish. Luckily for us, that only required 10 objects, and we caught a Corphish pretty easily on the rod, and then we threw a ball at it, and we caught it even easier. Very nice. I am going to nickname this thing Trinex. Yep. You guys know the name theme. A bunch of you guessed it in the last episode. Once I get the last encounter on my team in Kanto, there's one encounter, I will give away what the name theme is, but it's time to get rid of these puddles in this area and move on. In the Wasteland, we placed 28 rock items, and we got ourselves a Skorupi, which is not technically a dark type, it is poison bug, but once it evolves into Drapion, it becomes a dark poison type. And I'm excited to use this thing because Drapion's a pretty good Pokemon. I'm going to nickname this thing Landmola. And this is the last encounter that we are going to get in the Safari Zone. Here's all the different rock objects I placed. Almost 30 of them. And we're going to go ahead and start removing them as well, because we need to get rid of the different objects. I don't need them sat in here waiting days and days and days. You didn't think I forgot to mention the natures and the abilities, did you? Trinex has a lonely plus attack of minus defense nature and the shell armor ability, which is phenomenal. Probably the second best ability in Nuzlocke. Landmola has a naughty plus attack minus special defense nature. It has the sniper ability, which may or may not come in handy. Two great Pokemon, neither of which are dark type. Trinex is just a water type, and Landmola is a bug poison. I have to wait until both of these evolve to officially put them on my team. Luckily, Landmola just needs one level. I think it learns Crunch at level 45, and then we can let it evolve. Trinex is going to need a bit more in training before it gets to a Crawdaunt, and then of course, Landmola, we still need to get it to level 43 before I evolve it into a Shiftry. Nonetheless, we have a full team for the first time in the entire run. That is absolutely amazing. It's a dark type only run, Entei, go away. I cannot believe we actually ran into this thing again while we're trying to evolve Landmola, and we caught it? Huh? What? That's absolutely insane. You know, if I was doing a fire only run, I would have kept you. Ridiculous. It is big Evo time. We've done the training that we need to do, and Landmola is evolving into a beastly Drapion. I just battled trainers south of Blackthorn City. I never battled him before I went to the Elite Four, so we can easily get our hands on a Drapion. A bunch of training later, and I finally used the Leaf Stone on Moldorm. I was incorrect about the level. It was level 49, not level 43. I don't know why I had that number stuck in my head, but I did. Nonetheless, at level 49, Shiftry learns the move Leaf Storm, which is what I was waiting for. I didn't know much about this move, but looking at Leaf Storm, it's a great move, 140 base power, 90 accuracy, but it sharply reduces the special attack stat, similar to Overheat. So I'm going to teach this to Shiftry, but I think we're going to quickly replace it with Energy Ball. I should be able to go get the TM for that, no problem. And last for Evos on the team, finally, Trinex is evolving into a beastly Crawdaunt. A welcome addition to the team. It is nice to have all of the different type coverage that we have gained from these three Pokemon, and the team is rounding out nicely. And with all of that prep, we can finally head to Kanto. I cannot believe it took that long. That's insane, just to get a few encounters. And now, we're on a boat, heading our way to Kanto. There's a little bit that we can do inside of the ship here. like find this guy's granddaughter, we can battle some trainers and do a little bit of training, but we're heading to Kanto. As I head to Celadon City to check the department store for a specific item, I'm still a little miffed at Sylph and his run of Soul Silver with dark types. He gave himself a Crawdaunt before the Elite Four, and that's fine. People can play how they want to, but the amount of effort that we just went through to get Drapion and Crawdaunt and Shifty on the team, I feel like the bigger names, and I'm putting quotes, don't go through that effort. We got to come back to Route 7. There is an encounter here, but it's not nighttime. Nonetheless, I had to learn how the Safari Zone mechanics worked, and we went through it. This has taken hours. Is that Crash or Wake? It was Crash or Wake. That's cool. And everybody's entitled to play how they want to. It just rubs me the wrong way when I don't see the effort put in by these big-time creators. This lady does sell the TM for Dark Pulse. That is a great stab move special for Shiftery. You find one in Victory Road just as you're exiting, but I saw that you could buy them here, and I wanted to see if that was true. There's a few other TMs that I think we're going to grab here. I just wanted to mention that. I'm not calling the individual out. I'm just saying that, I don't know. It's annoying. It's annoying when the effort isn't put forth, considering I have put so much effort into last video and this video getting this far. But that's enough bitching and complaining. Time to take on our first official Kanto gym, Janine, the daughter of Koga and the poison type gym leader. I have a great counter into her poison types in Lanmola, the poison type of our own. We are outsped turn 1, of course, because Crobat is very fast, and we do get confused from Confuse Ray, but I equipped a Lumberry for this, and it cures off the confusion. I don't have Person Berries. We fire off a Thunderfang that does well over half of Crobat's health, and it decides to play ball and not go for Confuse Ray and just hit us with a wing attack that we tank very well. One more Thunderfang takes out the Crobat. Drapion can learn all of the Elemental Fang moves if you teach it via Heartscale in Blackthorn City. Out comes Weezing, and we fire off a Stab Crunch because I don't have super effective moves, and we get a critical hit to one-shot it. Out next is Venomoth. Again, same thing. I fire off a Stab Crunch. This thing is bug poison, not flying, so we didn't use Thunderfang, and we take it down to low red health where its Citrus Berry activates, pulling it out of healing range. It goes for Double Team. Lanmola doesn't care about the +1 to evasion and hits this thing with one more crunch to take it out. Very nice. Out comes Janine's first Ariados, and we fire off a Stab Crunch that takes this thing down to low yellow health, and it just misses a Scary Face, which is awesome. I hate the lowered speed. One more crunch takes it out. Very, very nice. The last Ariados comes out. We hit it with a crunch that does about the same amount of damage as it did on the last Pokemon. This time, we get hit with a Swagger. This boosts our attack, but we're confused. I decide to stay in and go for it, and I get punished because I hurt myself in confusion down to 77 HP, and then a Nightshade from Ariados drops me to 30 HP. I cannot survive another round of that, so I have to swap out. I do not want to lose this Pokemon we just spent all that time getting. Mothula comes in and gets hit with a Nightshade on the swap for 47 HP, and then I go for Fly, which connects, taking out the Ariados, winning us our first Kanto badge. This trash can is spitting straight facts. There's nothing in here but trash. The entire gym is trash. The trainers are trash. Lieutenant Surge is trash. I am trash. We are trash. There is an order to these gym leaders. I've talked about it before. They each have their own level cap. Again, Sylph did not follow that. I watched some of it. It was overleveled Pokemon in the gyms. Nonetheless, Surge is next, and we have Lanmola with Earthquake, and all of his Pokemon are weak to it. But some of his Pokemon may outspeed us because
It's electric.
Electric types are very, very fast. We do outspeed the Raichu, however, and we manage to fire off a very strong Earthquake, and it is enough to one-shot the Raichu. Out next is Electrode, and of course, here we go, getting outsped. Electrode just sets up a double team. Doesn't matter, the +1 to evasion, because we shake this upside down Pokeball until it faints from a single Earthquake. We're going to have a repeat offender here with the next Electrode that sets up Double Team as it comes out. And again, upside down Pokeball, shake it real fast, and it goes away. Next for Lieutenant Surge is his Magneton. This thing is quad weak to ground, and we actually outspeed it and fire off that super effective Earthquake, one-shotting it. This just leaves Electabuzz. I almost said Electivire. He's not good enough to have an Electivire. A single Earthquake one-shots the Electabuzz, and we win a very easy second Kanto gym badge. On Route 7, at night, there is a 5% chance to run into a Houndour. We threw an Ultra Ball at it, and we caught it the first try. That thing has Roar, so this could have been devastating. As a matter of fact, all of the Pokemon that we have caught outside of Absol could have ran away, so it's very nice that we've caught these Pokemon. And this is Gen 4, we can't save scum this. Now I'm going to nickname the Houndour Vitreous, and we're going to send this thing to the box, unfortunately. I forgot to take one of the Pokemon off my team, so we need to go to the Pokemon Center to look at this. Now for those of you that guessed the name theme in the last episode, you were absolutely correct. It is Zelda names, more specifically A Link to the Past. Light World, Dark World, I thought it would be a neat little spin, perfect for a dark type run. Plus I loved the bosses of those games. It's just not well known, those bosses. We actually have Quilava, our starter, on us because it is my Cut and Rock Smash Pokemon. But if we take a look at Vitreous here, after I click the right buttons, it has a hasty plus speed minus defense nature. That's awesome. Has the Flash Fire ability. This is going to round out our type coverage. And I'm actually going to replace Helmasaur on the team with Vitreous. Helmasaur has been a great Pokemon, but that minus attack nature has been devastating in the past, and I don't want to lose a Pokemon yet. Plus, it only has 2 attacking moves. It's just a tank. So I'm hitting all the buttons wrong. But we put it on the team. You'll also notice that Blind has been added to the team and Armos is stuck in the box. That's because Armos was level 56, and so it is over-leveled for the first 4 gyms of this game. So we are now into the storyline portion of the game. This is where we do a bunch of running around. We head to the powerhouse. We get to talk to the manager that tells us about the missing machine part. The cops ask for our help. We head back to Cerulean. We can battle the Team Rocket, get the part. We can interrupt Misty's date and then challenge her at the gym. That's our next gym leader. Then we can head to Lavender, get the expansion card for our radio so we can wake up the sleeping Snorlax outside of Vermilion so that we can go through Diglett's Cave and go to Brock. Both Misty and Brock have the same level cap, so they are the next 2 gym leaders. And as a matter of fact, Moldorm's going to do a lot of heavy lifting in Misty's gym and probably the predominant Pokemon in Brock's if things go according to plan. Now, I'm not here really to talk about the storyline stuff. What I'm here to talk about is the fact that I've done quite a few of these Nuzlocks, and I've had a ton of fun doing them, and we've predominantly been in Generations 3 and Generations 4. I'm starting to look at runs in Gen 5 and eventually Gen 6. Not now, mother, I am talking. So rude. They're on the horizon. I still am going to do Gens 3 and 4 and finish out the runs. I have a bunch of plans and I have a laundry list of things that I want to do. It's exciting and scary at the same time. And in doing a bunch of these runs, of course, we've had people come down on us pretty hard in the comments section, the Nuzlocke police. They want to tell you how you're doing things wrong. They never want to tell you how you're doing things right. And I found myself at the other side of things, not being the guy doing the Nuzlocke, but watching the Nuzlocke happen and then wanting to jump in the comments section saying, hey, what you're doing here is not 100%. So the other shoe dropped, and I'm here to talk about it. I didn't go into their comment section. I did not make a comment, but if I were doing the run that they did, not now, mother, I am talking, rude, I would have done things different. They did a run of Pokemon X using only Psychic-type Pokemon, and they chose Fennekin as their starter. Fennekin is not a Psychic type, not until it evolves into Delphox, much later. After the first gym, they do get their hands on a Psychic-type Pokemon, and that is where I would have boxed Fennekin until it was a Delphox. They did not. In a few key battles that were against some Dark types, they had a non-Psychic type on their team, and I felt like they had a little bit of an unfair advantage because now they don't have a weakness, right? So it's just something that I would have done. But if we look at the Nuzlocke rules, they're self-imposed. It's 5 rules. Have to nickname your Pokemon. If they faint in battle, they're boxed or dead. You have to release them. You can only catch the first Pokemon in a route. It has nothing to do with monotypes. That's just an added difficulty challenge for people like me, for people like you to watch me suffer. Battle mode on set, no items in battle, and level caps in place are the hardcore Nuzlocke rules. That's it. People are free to play these runs how they want to, and I've had a lot of people come at me saying I'm doing things wrong. And I almost jumped in saying, hey, I didn't like what you did here, but they are free to play their own run, right? But, and it's a big but, if you're doing a monotype challenge, then maybe you should stick to the challenge. Maybe you shouldn't add Pokemon like Crawdont to your team if you actually can't get them until much later in the game. I know that these runs need to be beatable, but we still got to follow an ethic? I don't know. A standard? Have a little pride? I don't know. Nonetheless, we're just going to continue on with our Nuzlocke, and we're going to continue doing the things that we do the way we do them. Now, Misty is no slouch. If you come in with grass types and electric types, she has ice and ground to counter that. Her team is formidable despite it only being 4 Pokemon. Her lead Golduck, however, is not that formidable. I don't know that I can one-shot this with a single Energy Ball, so I go for the priority Fake Out, flinching this Pokemon turn 1. An Energy Ball turn 2 is enough, in fact, to take out the Golduck, and that is amazing. Our Grass type does bait out her Lapras, so I swap into Trinex, who takes a Ice Beam to the face and tanks it very well. I do misclick at this point and go for Swords Dance. I go unpunished because Lapras just misses a Sing. I then fire off a +2 Crunch, and it leaves Lapras at 1 HP. We get hit with a Body Slam that takes us low into yellow health, and we get paralyzed. Our Citrus Berry activates, pulling us back up over half of health, and I know that Misty's going to go for a full restore, so I try to go for one more Crunch. Full restore heals Lapras all the way up, and we stay paralyzed. We get hit with another Body Slam down to 44 HP, but this time we break through paralysis to fire off a Crunch, and I guess it was a range because we one-shot it. This baits out the Quagsire. I immediately swap back into Moldorm. We get hit with a resisted Earthquake on the swap, and I can fire off a quad super effective Stab Energy Ball on the next turn, one-shotting the dopey Quagsire. This just leaves Misty's Starmie, and Starmie is an amazing Pokemon. It's fast, it has type coverage, you guys know. It's going to go for Ice Beam because I know it has it, so I swap into Landmola. We tank the Ice Beam very well. We have to tank another one because we're outsped down to 42 HP. Citrus Berry heals us right back up to half, and I fire off a Stab Crunch that does almost one-shot the Starmie at a sliver of health. Citrus Berry pulls it out of healing range, and rather than going for an attack, Starmie goes for Confuse Ray. That is annoying because, of course, I hurt myself in confusion the very next turn. I don't think I can survive another attack, so I decided to swap into Blind, who gets hit with a Water Pulse on the swap in, and it gets the confusion because why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? I decide to stay in, and Starmie goes for an Ice Beam, and we tank that thing on 20 HP before our Berry brings us back up to 51 HP, and then of course, I hurt myself in confusion. This is not looking good at all. I have to swap in Mothula, who is weak to Ice. Luckily, Starmie should just go for a random move, and we do in fact get Water Pulse on the swap in. I think we can survive an Ice Beam. I have no choice. I stay in, and Ice Beam takes us all the way down to 2 HP. Whew, we barely survived that. Citrus Berry heals us up a little bit. That doesn't matter. We fire off a stab, super effective Night Slash, taking out the Starmie, winning us a very hard-fought 3rd gym badge. After that, we return the machine part to the manager of the powerhouse, and he can get the powerhouse up and running, and now Kanto has power again. Oh, just a silly little storyline thing. Moving on. It's at this point that we're going to have a bit of a boss rush. The last 4 gym leaders are pretty easy to get to in consecutive order, starting out with Brock. Now, Brock, unfortunately for him, has a team of ground, rock, or rock water Pokemon that are quad weak to grass. So his Graveler falls to a single energy ball. Stab, quad, super effective. Out next is his Onix. His Onix befalls the same exact fate, falling to a quad, super effective stab, energy ball. This brings out Kabutops, which I thought might outspeed us, but in fact it does not, so it falls to a quad, super effective stab, energy ball as well. He brings out his Beastly Rhyhorn, I say sarcastically, as it falls to a quad, super effective stab, energy ball. And last for Brock is his Omastar, which unfortunately falls the exact same way to a quad, super effective stab, energy ball. Moldorm, you've been nothing but a beast. Against Sabrina, I could choose any one of these Pokemon, but I decide to lead with Mothula because we haven't seen much of our OG team in a while. And I was incorrect that it's after 5 gyms the level cap finally gets high enough for us to bring Armos back on the team. Against her Espeon, we do get outsped, but Espeon just goes for Calm Mind. I fire off a stab, super effective Night Slash that cleanly one-shots the Espeon. Out comes her Ace Alakazam. We are outsped and it sets up the Reflect, which is annoying because it doubles its defense, but even with that boosted defense, a Night Slash takes this thing all the way down to red health. Physically frail. We almost one-shot this thing. Citrus Berry pulls it out of healing range. It just goes for Energy Ball, which is random, and we can finish it off with one more Night Slash. Her last Pokemon, Mr. Mime, then comes out and sets up the other screen, and we hit it with a Night Slash down to low yellow health. Sabrina then goes for a full restore. I hit it with another Night Slash down to red health. Sabrina goes for another full restore. We hit it with a Night Slash again down to yellow health. The Reflect wears off. Sabrina uses another full restore. How many of these things does she have? But with the Reflect worn off, another Night Slash will one-shot the Mr. Mime, winning us this gym battle. Now we have Vitreous with the Choice Specs and Flamethrower. None of Erica's Pokemon stand a chance. The level cap is high enough for us to put Armos back on the team, but I needed a cut user, so that's why the 6th teammate spot is missing on the bottom, but it shows I have 6 Pokemon in my party. As I said before, Choice Specs, Flamethrower, one-shot the Jumpluff. Out comes Tangela. Tangela goes down to a single Flamethrower as well. Victory Bell comes out, and it too falls to a single Flamethrower. And last but not least is her Bellossom, which falls to a single Flamethrower as well. These gyms have gone very, very easy, and surprisingly, Misty gave us a run for our money. None of the gyms in Kanto are really that difficult. Misty did give us a run for our money, but it was a lot of bad luck. The only real challenges in the Kanto side of these games is blue and red. But because the last episode was over an hour long and we had to do a bunch of catching at the beginning of this episode, that's why I made it part 2. Now up against Blaine's Magcargo, it is quad weak to water, so I fire off a Waterfall, stab, quad super effective. It's enough to one-shot the Magcargo. Blaine's team is very weird in this game. Up next for him is Magmar. He does not have his Arcanine. We do get outsped and hit with a Thunder Punch that we tank, and we can fire off a Waterfall that does cleanly one-shot the Magmar. However, it does activate the Flame Body ability, burning us at the end of the turn. That's a bit annoying as the Rapidash comes out, because we are very low on health and we're going to get outsped, so I swap into Armos. Armos gets hit with a Flare Blitz on the swap in. We get outsped and hit with another Flare Blitz, and I go for the super effective stab Stone Edge, and it misses. Huh. Interesting. We're taking a bit of damage from those Flare Blitzes. I actually sit here and check the accuracy of Stone Edge because for whatever reason I thought it was 100%, but it is not. It is 80. I decide to go for it again, and Rapidash this time goes for Bounce. So of course it's trying to hit me with Bounce to paralyze. Bounce does a decent amount of damage despite it being resisted, and of course I miss my next Stone Edge. Rapidash goes for Bounce again, and it takes us all the way down to 70 HP before I can finally fire off a Stone Edge, one-shotting the Rapidash. But holy crap, gave us a bit of run for our money. This is because I caught all of the Pokemon earlier. When you first play these games, you come to an island like this and you're like, what the heck happened? And then you see the familiar face. If you ever played these games in succession like I did, I played Red and Blue and then Gold and Silver. It was nice to have him here to explain that the volcano erupted and ruined the whole town, after he complained about Red a little bit. But now that we have beaten all 7 gyms, he's ready to take us on, and this is where the challenge starts. Blue has a team that is not to be trifled with, so we need to do a little bit of prep work and take on the 8th and final gym. Blue's team is nothing to scoff at. His Machamp is the biggest threat on his team, but his whole team has coverage against my whole team. We can actually force the Pokemon out that we want, depending on who we have out. I lead Trinex against his Executor, which may seem weird, a water type against a grass type, but Executor typically likes to go for Trick Room to try to get the slow Pokemon to outspeed the fast ones. Crunch, however, is enough to take out the Executor, and this is going to bait out the Machamp. The Machamp comes out, and I immediately swap into Mothula, who does get hit with the Dynamic Punch. This, of course, is going to confuse us, and I did have a held Lumberry for this specific reason. Now, I also retaught Mothula Wing Attack because Fly is a 2-turn attack, and Machamp has no guard, which means we get hit while we're in the air. Wing Attack is enough to one-shot the Machamp, and that is the biggest threat on his team gone. Whew, who knew that Machamp was going to be our downfall? This brings out Rhydon. We can then swap into Moldorm. We get hit with a Stone Edge on the swap in. If this had crit, it would have taken us out, but it also had a chance to miss. We tank it very well, Citrus Berry activates, and we can take out the Rhydon with a quad super effective Energy Ball. This is going to bait in the Arcanine. The Arcanine comes out, and I swap back into Trinex, who takes a Flare Blitz very well, and then of course is outsped the next turn and has to tank a Dragon Pulse, which we do on 28 HP. Citrus Berry activates and we fire off a Waterfall, and since we don't have the -2 attack, it is enough to one-shot the Arcanine. This battle is going very, very well. This just leaves his Pidgeot and his Gyarados. Pidgeot comes out next. I was hoping it would be his Gyarados, but I will swap into Armos. If his Gyarados had come out, we could have swapped into Landmola, taken it out, and then swapped in Armos. Now we're going to have a Sandstorm, which is a bit annoying. We take a Return to the Face, because it's not very effective, and we can take out the Pidgeot with a single Stone Edge. I do have the Wide Lens, because of the last battle. Gyarados comes out, we tank the Intimidate, and I decide to swap into Landmola. Gyarados does go for Dragon Dance, which I thought it would because it didn't see any kind of damage. Despite it having water-type moves, we still outspeed it on the next turn, and we can take it out with a quad super effective Thunderfang, and this was a very well-planned and very well-fought battle. Immediately leaving the gym, Professor Oak calls us, and he says, "You don't have to say anything, I know what you're doing." That's a bit creepy. What's up with the creepy old dudes in this game? I mean, he tells us to come to the lab. At least he doesn't tell us, "Hey, I've got candy in my van." because that would be weird. Heading to Oak's lab, he gives us HM8 for Rock Climb, and he also notices that we have the badges for Johto, as well as being the Johto champion, and then of course all the Kanto badges, and decides we're strong enough to take on the Mount Silver challenge. I don't understand why that wasn't available to us after we became the champion. We're kind of like the leader at that point. But nonetheless, Mount Silver does house for us one of the biggest challenges and our last challenge of the run, Red. Route 28 houses another encounter for us that we could catch a Sneasel. I could do a bunch of training and evolve it into a Weavile and add it to the team, but I have the team picked out that I want to use against Red. I don't think Weavile would do us any favors, so we're going to take the team that we have, do some training, and get prepped for the ultimate battle against Red. Now, as we head to Red, you will notice a couple of things. I lowered the level cap to level 84. His Pikachu has a level of 88, but everybody else is level 84, like his Blastoise, Charizard, and Venusaur. I also put Moldorm in the box and brought Blind back. I'm leading with Armos against his Pikachu. The Hail does do constant chip damage. I get rid of it with Sandstream. That's not really why I led with this. I want to bait out his Blastoise next to get rid of that threat. So we're leading with Armos. I do have a Barberry Berry, I don't know how to pronounce it, that weakens the steel type moves because this Iron Tail actually does a lot of damage. We can take out the Pikachu though with a single Earthquake. Shaking a mouse does in fact kill it. Who knew? As I said, this does bait out his Blastoise, so I can swap immediately into Landmola. And of course, when the AI uses a move like Focus Blast or Dynamic Punch, it hits every time. So we tank a Focus Blast down to just about half health, and the Sandstream takes us to lower than half health. And I don't have a Citrus Berry, but I can fire off a Thunderfang that does over half and paralyzes the Blastoise. Focus Blast actually misses. That's huge because we wouldn't have survived. One more Thunderfang takes out the Blastoise. Out next is Charizard, so I swap back into Armos. We get hit with a very weak Air Slash. We then get outsped and hit with a decent Flare Blitz down to 118 HP, and we can take out the Charizard with a quad super effective Stab Stone Edge. Still holding that wide lens. This now baits in Lapras. There's nothing else that I can really swap into the Lapras, so I decide to just stay in, and we actually outspeed it, and we can fire off a Stone Edge, which is super effective against Lapras, and it does one-shot it. I guess Armos lives. I was fully ready to sack you. That is insane. Out comes Venusaur, and since Armos didn't go down, I decide let's swap into Vitreous, and I should have left in Armos one time because Vitreous goes to sleep. That is very, very annoying. Venusaur then hits us with a nasty Sludge Bomb, doing well over half of our health after all of the Sandstorm chip, so I've got to swap out. I swap into Mothula, who gets hit with a Sludge Bomb, and we get poisoned. Of course we do. I do outspeed the Venusaur, so we can go for Fly. The poison damage and Sandstorm damage brings us to 21 HP as we connect with a Fly. And with the chip damage and whatnot to Venusaur, Fly is enough to take it out. We do survive the Sandstorm, but unfortunately we don't survive poison. Mothula goes down. Luckily, Snorlax should be coming out, his last Pokemon, so we have my counter Blind. It's crazy I don't have to swap this in. I do go for Will-O-Wisp turn 1 so that we can get that burn and weaken its physical moves. It does have 2 special moves and it fires off a very nasty Blizzard. That is a 70 accurate move. Connected. Of course it connected. Why wouldn't it? It gets buffeted by the Sandstorm, a little bit of chip damage from burn, and then I fire off a Brick Break that takes this thing well below half health. That is amazing. Snorlax then connects with another Blizzard that takes us all the way down to 24 HP. The Sandstorm then takes us down to 12 HP, but the Sandstorm damage and the burn damage on the Snorlax brings this thing too low where Red uses a full restore. Oh, no. Another Brick Break takes about a third of Snorlax's health, and we fall to the Sandstorm chip damage. That is 2 Pokemon down, and very sad. I then swap into Armos, so that we're not taking any more damage from the Sandstorm. I can fire off a Crunch that takes Snorlax down to very low red health, and we do get the defense drop. We actually avoid the incoming Blizzard. That's amazing. And red does use a full restore. Because of the defense drop, however, we can hit it with another Crunch, hopefully doing half. But Armos isn't having that and gets a critical hit, one-shotting the Snorlax. We lost 2 Pokemon at the very end there, and it is very unfortunate, but this was an amazing run. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. It's a relatively quick one because the Kanto gyms are relatively easy. We had a great plan going into blue, and I thought I had a great plan going into red. If I had done some calculations, I would have known that we would have done too much damage with our beloved blind. We lost our first 2 Pokemon of our entire run. So it's very, very sad. But we did beat Soul Silver using only dark types, and it was great. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you did, leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Thank you guys for the continued support. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.